Robert, how's it going, man? Um,
You know, it's another late night in the day in the life of wearing 55 hats, just like you. But how you holding up tonight?
we're good, man. I think we're hitting a new. Here's Chris. What's up, Chris? Good evening.
Chris,
Hey boys, how's it going?
Or should I
hey,
say top of the morning to you?
Top of the morning.
For some people.
Damn near in the East Coast.
Look, I was legit gonna shower and go to sleep, and I texted you guys, "Do you want to go live in the morning?" And Robert said, "Why wait till the morning? Let's go now."
Yeah, and
So
your
I
morning
couldn't
ain't
argue with that.
and your morning's not happening for me.
And we'll do in the morning, Chris.
Oh,
and
you two can have fun. I ain't getting up at 6 a.m.
well,
and
listen,
jumping straight on
and
a computer.
yeah, and we're gonna go in the morning. But I was just like, look, there's so many people. Minds are racing.
Yeah.
They're looking through the job forums. They're networking. So I was like, hey, open forum.
Put them for him.
Put
Like,
put those questions in the comments.
just like in college, your professor would be there to
Yeah.
meet with you, after hour. Our after hours is just 24/7, 365. We're here
Yep.
for you. Um, things have been going good, I think, at the site. I texted you guys earlier today. I think we're hitting like a new normal of consistency for us, which is, I think it's maintainable thanks to our buddy Ronick, who Chris and I partnered with on. Initially, it's going to be helping sites get more leads through Facebook, Instagram. Rudnick couldn't be at SOS, but he'll be at the next one. But he's a cool dude. He comes from the hospitality industry, so he's like a hotel entrepreneur, and he used these same tools to get customer clients for his hotel. So it does work for research. Like, yeah, the majority of the leads don't qualify, but like for every 10, we get like 3 to come in, and one or two of those sometimes qualify.
That's damn near 100% compared to other
It's
vendors.
it's
Seriously.
not bad, dude. We are going through
30
these
thirty
hundreds.
percent is awesome.
We are going through these hundreds. I could show you guys the app right now, and I told them to refine the ad so we get less leads on purpose because it was kind of hard. Look, all these is from today. These are leads
Wow.
from today. It doesn't even
Wow.
load more. See,
And
it takes a while.
and and 30%
One day, all one.
and 30% generally pass pre-screening and agree to a
Now
visit.
here's what I do. So Ronick sends, well, the algo sends like an auto text. Hey, thanks for reaching out. We will get back to you soon. That's automatically. No one's doing that as soon as the lead comes through. Now, one of us humans, so one of us coordinators, will send a prequel. Hey, we've been swamped with leads, which is true. uh, do you have not just weight loss? Do you have these other things? And I kind of get more specific. If interested, text back. From those, if I send 10 of those, 4 will text back. Not right away. Some take like 2 days to text back, but they
What's
will.
even better? 40%?
4 will text back.
Okay. Then
Now,
you
from those
follow up.
4 that text back, like 1 or 2 actually say, yeah, I do have that. And then we're getting into like logistics. What day can you come in? What meds are you on? Sometimes they want to call, so I'll have Lana or Grissia or
So
Luis.
roughly 10% pass
Yeah,
pre-screening and come in. That's
yeah.
still
But
pretty damn
the
good.
other ones that don't reply or say, hey, no, you know what? Oh, sorry, you don't qualify. But let me, if you don't mind, we'll notify you when there's more appropriate studies for you. We put them in Creo, anyways, in our database, and
Hmm.
we've got leads in our database now.
Sure,
Like
for future
for
trials.
future, we tag them like, hey, this one responded to obesity, this one responded to depression, this one responded to an arthritis study. Um, so we know in the future, like we're building our database now too.
But still 10% is pretty good.
Yeah,
I
so we've been
Very
getting
good.
three a day, like 3 visits a day, not screenings. So
sure.
whatever kind of visits they are, but a lot of those have been screenings lately.
So past vendors that we've worked with, I would say they've been as bad as 1%. That's
Mm.
probably, and I would say the best is around 2 or 3%.
The best for me has been One N Health, and that was last year. And they were a sponsor of SOS. Shout out to them. They were good. They're very good. You
Are
don't
they
get
as
to.
good as
You
this?
don't get.
10%?
They were just as good as this, the
Okay.
same, but sites can't work with them directly. You have to get lucky and a sponsor
They
chose
only
them
work with sponsors.
only. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can't tell them, hey, slow down the ads right now. At least I
Sure.
don't think you can. With Ronick, Patient Ace, you can just say, hey, like no more ads for a week. We need to catch up.
We're
I've
going to
told them
titrate
that like
this stuff.
yeah, I've told them that like 5 times already. So he just goes and clicks the button and that's it, and then
Sure.
starts it again. So it's been I think that's been like our secret weapon. So if anyone wants info on that, hit me up. But can't guarantee we'll put a sticker on the bottom. These results may vary based on site and location.
What about you,
What?
Robert? Have you ever worked as a sponsor with recruitment vendors?
Oh yeah.
What's your experience?
Just exactly what you described. You know, this top of funnel. They're like,
Yeah,
we have, 1 million plus in the funnel, and
Hmm.
that's gonna twiddle down to about, 40 if we're lucky. And look, those portals that you gotta, it's always hounding the sites. I feel actually
yeah.
bad as a sponsor because it's like you're working with this vendor and they're not cheap, Chris. I mean, sometimes I think the industry average,
Ridiculously expensive.
yeah, ridiculously expensive. And when you
Seven
look up,
figures.
it can be, yeah. But what I'm trying to say is industry average to randomize a patient through a recruitment platform. And this there may be exceptions to the rule, but the last article I read, said something around the tune of $18,000 to
That's
randomize the patient.
well,
That's
that's
cheap.
actually a little less than the company Dan and I spoke to. They were
And this was in 2015 when we
yeah, they were
spoke to
the
them.
industry leaders at the time. They were
Okay.
charging something like what was it, 25 or
It was
30K a
close to
randomization?
30K a rando,
Yeah,
like 12K a screening.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. Well, I
You
don't
know
think it
what
was
it
that
is?
high. Was it that high? I thought it was like 8K for a
You
screen
know what?
failure.
You know what it is? Like, let me break it down for you guys. I'm the owner of the site, right? And then me, Chris, and Ronick own this app too. I have every interest, Robert. I have every incentive. You can't have more incentive than that.
Right.
I'm a co-owner of the app, the recruitment vendor. I'm a co-owner of the site. I'm getting these leads over the weekend. Bing, bing, bing. Like my phone's going crazy. Even I'm like, damn, shut up. I can't. I have empathy for the coordinators.
And that's what I'm
Like,
saying. So like then you have the vendor calling up the site, hey, this
yeah.
this particular lead's been in the queue for the past 4 days.
Hmm.
Have you emailed them? And then if it's a lot of work for
It's
the
a lot,
coordinators.
man.
You
Even if
know?
you own the thing, it's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
There's got to be a way to streamline that, There's got to be a
The
way
only way is
to
to like have the control of the dial. Like right now, I want leads right now, like TV. So you turn it on, and then I'm leaving for the weekend. Let's turn it off. I.
Well,
That's the only way because
no,
otherwise,
there's another way, Dan. What I think what Robert's describing, but it really adds cost, right? And that would be if people are screening the patient from the vendor
mhm.
and then sending them to you. Hey, this person qualifies. You need to speak to them now.
call center.
Even then, though, like all week I've been telling my coordinators, and I've been doing it with them. Hey, I'm asking you to call these four. You call these four. I'm calling these four. You call these four. Let's see what happens, and then put notes. It's really tough. Like I feel bad because they're also doing stuff. Like they're processing labs in the centrifuge. They've got a butterfly needle in someone's vein, and I'm still asking them to do this stuff on top of it. Their monitors asking them God knows what. I mean, you
But
know,
but
it's complicated stuff.
the problem is when you get these vendors that are sending you maybe 2%
Yeah.
qualify, and you're just calling these people. A, they don't want to talk to you. B, they don't qualify. Right after you do a couple
Hmm.
hundred of those, you're done. It's like
You're
I don't
over
want
it.
to do this anymore.
Yeah, and then those vendors start querying you too. Why
Yep.
didn't you do this for this patient? Oh well, because I don't have fucking time. why? Why didn't I do it? That's the answer. But no coordinator is gonna say that. They're gonna say, "Oh,
And
sorry."
I do need to bring this other perspective in just for the
We have
circular,
to. This is why
you
you're
know,
here, man.
yeah, the other perspective is, we as a sponsor go ahead and implement this recruitment campaign. The automatic knee-jerk reflex reaction from sites are now they're no longer going to be even paying attention to that database that you were talking about, Dan, at the top of the
Yeah,
hour.
yeah,
Because it's just, well, we're so busy screening these leads, we have no time to even look in our own database. So,
yeah,
I mean, and for me, as a sponsor representative, I prefer patients that reside in your database because I know you've spoken to them,
yeah.
you've worked with them, you may have met them. There's that trust factor, there's that retention factor. Joe Schmo from off the streets coming in because they filled out this online
You click the
pre-screener,
ad once.
and now it's like it's a 50-50 gamble. And you know
Yeah,
what? How many times have we randomized a patient from one
yeah,
of these recruitment vendors and then they never show up again, lost a follow-up,
yep,
certified letters were
yep,
sent. So, it's a give and take. It's a little bit of a gamble, throw the dice, if you will.
yeah,
Um, no perfect science, but I prefer sites come to me and say, look, we have exhausted A to Z through our EHR, and there are just no more viable eligible patients for this particular trial. Now
hmm
what? Right now it's okay. We flip the switch, have it ready to go. All the IRB approvals are in place, and we go ahead and activate the recruitment campaign. And on top of that, Dan, even before it gets to that point, I'd prefer sites come to me and say, hey, listen, we need additional funds for advertising,
yeah,
or for community outreach, however you see fit, what works for you and your demographic, you know? So anyways, I have nothing against recruitment campaigns, Chris. I've definitely used some of the largest ones you can think of. I am looking forward to, if I ever have to use another one, I'm certainly going to be going with One N Health for sure.
yeah. One on health.
After meeting those guys at
You met Dan
SOS.
and Steve. They're legit
I
stand
met
up dudes.
Steve. I met Steve in the
Oh,
when you guys
Steve's
were
is
in
awesome.
Fort Kindness. I kind of crawled in there in my knees. I'm like, is that Steve? And I'm like, I just stopped by to meet him. I don't really care about you, Dan.
Yeah, the other Dan. Their Dan is They have a Dan there too. He's the CEO, and actually, I'm glad he came because I never met him before. I just heard of him, but the dude is like super sharp. He's a really sharp founder, uh, and they're bringing like all these best practices from other industries into clinical research. So it's really cool, and it is working. They're doing really
Yeah,
good.
I think I saw him on the sneak peek of the vlog you sent me
Ah,
from
you
SOS.
saw? Yeah, that drops tomorrow,
Yes, it
man.
drops tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. So I
Would
did see that.
You're in there too?
Yeah, I'm in there for a
Couple,
minute.
couple times. Chris is in there. Chris should have been in there more. But
In what?
thank you very much, sir. He was
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I was
a long morning.
yeah,
Oh,
long
in the
morning.
video.
I gotta give LinkedIn a like. There's 21 people watching right now on LinkedIn alone,
Do you see what I mean?
and this is like gotta be midnight for some of you guys. Who knows if you're in UK? It's like 3 in the morning. So thank you. You could have
Yeah,
been
thank
anywhere in the world, but you're here with us on LinkedIn. You've got Robert Goldman, who's a sponsor representative. You've got Chris, who's a site like no nonsense. You can't get anything past this guy. He's like practical is like if you look up practical in the dictionary, it's Chris. Chris's
his
picture is
face is
on there.
there. Yep.
I don't know
Pragmatic.
about that. Dan's going a little far here, but appreciate the hyperbole.
So that's what's been going on. What do you think about this, Robert? I tell Ronick, who runs our ads, hey, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, tweak this, tweak that. I could just leave it 24/7, 365 if I hired a full time person to call,
I was
pre
just gonna say
screen,
that.
and schedule. So it doesn't have to be our coordinators. The problem is right now, our coordinators are relatively new and they actually enjoy doing this to some extent. But I've asked them, they don't want that. They want to do it. But I feel like in 6 months they'll be okay with it because it's a lot. It's a lot of calling, texting. So what if there was a full time person doing this at the site?
That's my vote. I've seen the most successful sites have designated areas where that's what these people do 8 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, they're in this, they're just looking, calling patients. and doing general screenings, Dan. I'm not talking anything specific, but then they get a
Yeah.
general history and then they match them to a current ongoing study within your site.
Yeah.
I mean, and that relieves the burden from the CRCs. They can focus on the patient experience.
Yeah.
And then you have this person who's also moving things through the funnel, updating the various portals if you have various portals, and you're addressing these leads in a timely manner. So for me, that's the way to go. And I think you can even have that done remotely, Dan. You don't need somebody on site. They could be anywhere in the world taking care of
Right.
this.
I think yeah, they can. I think there's a benefit to having them local. They know the town, so if somebody says, "Hey, I live by Albertsons," like they'll know, oh, okay, that's not that far. We're over
Yeah.
here, or they get to know the coordinators, so they're not because inevitably there's going to be friction. Coordinator's going to say, "Hey, why'd you schedule me like 4 people when I also have a monitor that day? You're like messed up." So like if they see them, they have to deal with that, as opposed to like being in India somewhere they're never going to see them.
Well, I'm not saying that. I mean, yeah, you want.
Well, the cheapest is overseas, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just thinking that could be one alternative, but we also, yeah, I'll just,
This
yeah.
Monica, there's a familiar face. Hola, chicos. We're supporting at any time, listening while driving from our site in Santa Monica. El Gato says hi too.
Love it.
Raul, the MC, who's gonna after SOS, he's gonna have a MC Academy. I hear. So that's gonna be popular. But he was a great MC at the event. These are site owners. Look, it's 9 p.m. in LA, and they're just now getting back home or driving back home because there's no traffic at
Dedication.
this time, or at least there's less
Dedication.
traffic. Dedication. So we appreciate you guys staying up. What about in your world, guys? What's new? Like, what's exciting you? That's what got me excited today. I even texted you guys about it. But what's exciting you guys in your corners?
You know, boy, Dan, I wish I had something that was so exciting that's going
You
on
got
right
some.
now.
You got something.
Yeah, I got stuff, but I don't know how shareable my
Ah,
excitement can be. That's
yeah.
the problem. But I'm looking forward to the turn in the tide for just all of these job seekers. On the last live we did, I had a ton of people. I couldn't believe it. For me, it's a ton. At least 6 different individuals reached out to me after the live.
After that,
Yep, after and just we our topic. Remember, we talked about the job market. I mean, I think it's very siloed when it comes to sites. Sites don't appreciate and see what's happening at the CRO sponsor vendor level. And there's a lot of struggling people out there. I kind of
yeah.
attribute that to our audience and size right now at this hour, Dan. People are scrolling job forums,
Hmm.
different groups, networking, sending in mails. I mean, this is when it's happening because you can't just sit there and your mind's racing. You're wanting to do something. So, um, I actually, had several people reach out, and I scheduled one-on-ones. You can go on my LinkedIn page, book an appointment with me. I have availability 2 days a week. So connect with me on LinkedIn if you want my 2 cents. I'm always happy to provide it. But big shout out to member Kellen Battles. He was very engaged in our discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, I met with him as an example, and he
Wow.
wrote me a voice message today that I should actually play it.
Wait, you talked to him? And by the way, we talk, and there's 31 people on LinkedIn alone right now.
Yeah.
So before you play
So
the message,
yeah,
Robert, I'm curious. So
sure.
the last one of these I did with you, these lives on the StreamYard here, you were talking about how the industry's kind of slow right now, right? Nobody's really hiring, but it sounds like you have a lot of prospects um, from some previous live you did with Dan. So does this make you rethink where the industry is, or is it just the quality of the individual?
I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think I'm, backtracking on where we are in the industry in terms of availability of jobs. I think that's why the folks were reaching out to me. Hey, I have 3 years of, CRA experience at Icon. I can't get a job.
Hmm.
Like what's going on? And so we looked at, Kellen as an example. We looked at, his resume. We looked at his story. We kind of did a mock interview. And again, I'm volunteering my own
Wait,
time
you went
to.
out of your way to do all that,
Yes,
Robert?
yes, Dan.
Robert got a heart of gold, man.
I did. I care, man. I want to help those
Wow,
who, we gotta always train our replacements in this industry. Nobody really ever did that for me. It was kind of sink or swim at that time. So
wow.
yeah, I did all that. And look, here, I'm gonna play this message. I hope it comes through.
Definitely, Robert. Thank you so much. We'll I'm hoping that we can definitely talk about it and talk about just sort of fine tuning things a little bit more on Thursday. Honestly, a lot of the advice has been life saving. So again, looking forward to hearing a lot more.
Can't hear him anymore. Could hear him really clear.
You could hear him really clear initially, and
Oh,
then it.
he said it was life saving. You missed the best part. All right, hang on. Let's try one more time.
Definitely, Robert. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's not coming through now.
I'm hoping
There
that we
go.
can definitely talk about it and talk about just sort of fine tuning things a little bit more on Thursday. Honestly, a lot of the advice has been life saving. So again,
Life-saving advice.
Yeah, and
See
now
that? So
Well,
that gives me a little bit of a goosebump, because that I'm just happy that I'm able to just help somebody. So
yeah,
that,
that's
Chris,
awesome,
actually, that actually is a testament to my hypothesis in saying that there's a lot of quality folks out there that just don't have
Sure.
here's
there's
one.
just nowhere to go.
Here's one. They messaged me right now. I won't read the whole thing, but he's a Farm D, so
Mhm.
pharmacist. Would you happen to have additional advice for Farm Ds entering the industry, or which CROs that are known to hire candidates with minimal experience? This is a hard thing because Farm D is overqualified for most. Like most sites. Chris, would you hire a Farm D? Like a U.S. licensed Farm D?
So, unfortunately, don't really have a position for a Farm D
Yeah, see?
outside of maybe a Raider.
Okay, psychometric rater. Maybe
Yeah.
that's the first tangible thing. What about you, Robert? Farm D, like no research experience, but like what can they do?
How about I did it? We did it. You can go to our yeah. Big shout out to Brian Tay, Farm D graduate from Rutgers University.
Huh.
He was completely right out of the Farm D program. We brought him in green as green can be. His 2-year anniversary is coming up in 3 months. So the answer to your question is absolutely. Why? The thirst for knowledge, the medical foundation is there. They speak the language, so to speak. Now you just kind of have to, teach them the grow up story, kind of the ins and outs, just no different than you training a coordinator, Dan, from the ground up. Now, I mean, I remember when your lead coordinator was
Mm-hmm.
brand new and now she's the lead
Desiree, oh,
coordinator. That,
Katie, yeah.
Katie, and yeah, and Desiree's no
Mhm.
longer with you, but yeah,
Mhm.
Katie is a great example. So no different here. But that's not to say that I wouldn't do that with a non-farm D also, right? I mean,
Right.
I think the character is character, and the
Well, here's the
willingness
thing,
to.
though. Like that,
Mhm.
Katie is a good example. Katie versus this Farm D. Unless that Farm D is willing to take like what Katie was willing to take, and now Katie makes almost double what we started her out as. But if he's willing to take the same thing, sure. The problem is they've got huge debt to pay off.
Mhm.
Number one. Number two, I even feel bad offering the offer. Like it's it's not like someone fresh out of undergrad or like an MA that needs a
Dan,
job.
I got to interrupt you here, man.
Yeah.
Physicians coming out of med school, what do you think they're making in residency working 80 hours a week? You have to crawl before you walk. They're making
Yeah.
50, 60 grand. So the ends justify the means. It's no different than, I mean, when you're a coordinator and you either move up or stay in that position, you're going to be broaching on 6 figures, and or if you go to the CRO or go to the sponsor, you become a CRA, senior CRA project, you're in the 6-figure club.
Mm.
So you have to, I mean, I hate to say this, but you have to pay the dues. You're not gonna, no matter what degree you have, you can be, an MD, PhD, and if you don't come in with the experience that's required, the credentialing is phenomenal. It looks great. Can you go do a lot of things? Sure, you can. But without that foundational experience, you're not going to really get anywhere. So what I said many years ago on one of the podcasts I did with Huxley Morton, big shout out to James
Shout out to
Powell and
James. Yeah.
Lucy, you
Need to
know,
see you guys at SOS next year. Come on.
he promised me he'd be there. I actually just
Okay.
talked to him a
Okay.
couple days ago. But with that said, I think that I lost my train of thought. Train of thought. I don't even know. This is what
Well,
happens when we do these.
James from Huxley Martin. When people want to get started,
Oh, I always say, how can you be the general if you've never been a soldier, right? So again, check your ego at the door, and regardless if you're a PharmD or a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree or simply a medical assistant or you have a vocational degree, I would give, back to the root of the original question, I'd give anybody a chance. It's all about character, willingness to learn, drive, ambition. And sometimes I've seen people in very high ranking C-level positions at large publicly traded companies with, a 4-year degree, nothing more, So I think, that says a lot. But to circle back to the question, there's a lot of strategies, does the PharmD help? Yes. Is the future bright for you? Yes. But you kind of have to start at the soldier level, if you will. That's my opinion.
Yeah. There's even more, like, if we unpack that. So, for a site to hire a PharmD, you're taking a risk because you can train them, let's say 6 months, a year coordinating. So you're paying them what you pay a CRC. They can leave you at this point and, like, triple their salary. But so can any of your staff, but not triple their salary. So that's the one downside as a site owner. I'm just speaking candidly. Like, why I would hesitate. I wouldn't say I wouldn't, but I would hesitate a lot for the high degree people is because, okay, I'm going to do this work, train you. And if they're upfront with me and say, hey, like, I only want to give you a year, that's cool. I might be comfortable with that. But I need to know, like, what their end goal is. And a lot of times they don't really know. They can get into pharmacovigilance, as you know. Can PharmD be medical monitor or no?
No.
They can do medical science liaison.
But they can be a safety reviewer. They can be, I mean, there's so many things. Dan, let's give a big shout out to Osrat. Like, look at this guy. He has a doctoral degree in health administration, and he's doing traveling CRC work.
Wow.
This is exactly what I mean.
Let me click his profile right now.
This is a man who is going to go places in life with his degree.
If you want to come on right now, DM me and I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Osrat.
I mean, not a glamorous lifestyle. He's going to get a taste of what it's like to be if he's going down the CRA pathway, whatever his ambitions may be. But the point is, the traveling CRC is not a whole lot different. Obviously, you're within a city, for a longer period of time, not just a handful of hours. But the point is, he's still away from his home base. And, he's kind of biting the bullet. I'm sure it's not his first choice after studying and getting a doctoral in health administration. So this is a perfect example of, doing what you have to do to kind of.
Doctoral graduate from Virginia University, Lynchburg. Doctor of Health Service Administration, clinical trials, FDA regulations. Wow.
So I'm kind of curious, Robert. You've worked at the CRO and sponsor exclusively. I assume you've had at least a hand in the role of hiring CRAs at some point in time. So what would you prefer to hire? Somebody with experience or somebody, PharmD, PhD?
Experience 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. For that, that's for me. And I think a lot of hiring managers would probably agree, and when I say experience, Chris, I mean, like, even if it, like site level experience.
Sure. Coordinator.
I think coordinator. I think having that 360, like understanding, it's funny. I was having a conversation with somebody today, who is a very, very well-known executive within the clinical research industry. I'll give him a shout out. His name is Scott Schiebler.
Okay.
But anyways, big shout out to him. And Dan, we're gonna have him on the pod for
Okay.
sure.
Shout
He's a
out to
great,
Scott.
yeah, he's a great guy. But what I was trying to say when I was talking with him, it's like, you know, this industry is all about, you know, who you know most of the time, not all the time what you know. So for me, it's always about, you know, charisma, attitude, and having that experience. Working at the site level and understanding the patient's journey. Like when I'm thinking about clinical development, I'm thinking about protocol implementation. Dan, you can attest to this. I'm thinking about what it's like when that patient walks in the door, sits in the waiting room, and I'm not thinking of a specific site. I'm just thinking of their journey based on the
Yeah.
schedule of events. You know, what their consenting process is, how many questionnaires they have to figure out or fill out, you know, what it's all the different steps. Then they're going to have to be shuttled over to imaging. Then they're going to have to go get a lab. Then they're going to have to get a baseline EKG. And I'm just putting myself in their shoes, and I'm trying to ask myself, is this logistically okay? Or would it be better for us to break this up for the sake of the patient and the site versus just being, you know, totally stoic and writing it because I feel like this is the most economically feasible way to do it and most cost effective way to do it. So,
Hmm.
well, again, I think people who have that patient, and this is not lip service. Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying this to this is truly the way that I think and operate and feel. I mean, this is, you know, a lot of people will tell you what is so nice to hear, but I really try to practice this and I try to implement this. Chris and Dan will probably both tell you that that really is a philosophy of mine. And I wish more people would actually follow that mantra because it's really, really important to have that understanding. So coming back full circle to, you know, PharmD, PhD, or experience, you know, you got to have that experience. Again, I don't care how many, you know, you can shadow a general of the army or the armed forces of any country for as long as you want. If you've never been on the battlefield, how are you
Yeah.
going to empathize? How are you going to empathize? How are you going to understand what the patients are doing? If you've never been a coordinator and took a patient through the consent process, called them to remind them about their visits, gave them study reminders, helped them through a crisis. I lost my bottle. I did this. I did that. I can't get a ride to the clinic. My car broke down. I lost the cell phone. I lost the ePro. I lost you know, it's like
I've
you,
experienced every one of those things
Yeah, me
at
too.
site
but
level. Every one of them.
but Chris, do you see how critical that is for you? So,
Certainly.
you know, not that you would, but you know, that's why I'm saying you would make, you know, you're obviously, you know, in a different direction, but somebody who has those experiences can seamlessly transition into another role. CRCs, they collaborate with monitors all the time. That's their
Mhm.
main gig. Besides you and your CRCs, the next person that they collaborate with next to your PIs and sub-Is the most are going
The
to be your
monitor.
monitors.
Yeah.
So if you're a CRC and you know what monitors are asking you, how easy is that transferable skill to now become a monitor? And
Yeah.
it goes the same way. Now, monitors are constantly collaborating with their CTMs or their clinical leads or their clinical trial managers, whatever it is, their PMs, you know, for years and years and years. Now you can transferably move into that role because it's like, oh, I've done that. You know, I've written reports, I've reviewed reports. How many times have senior CRAs been called upon by their clinical team manager, their clinical lead to say, hey, would you like to step up and help with trip report review?
Hmm.
Happens all the time on the CRO side. So those, you know, moving up the rank
You know what
is
I had,
because
man?
what's
I
that?
had a stressed out of his mind monitor in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I wanted to mention his name, I couldn't. Even the company, he did a site selection visit for my site. Me and Chris had one in Costa Mesa back then, and it was stressed out of his mind. And I just started shooting the shit. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, I contract also as a CRA, very part time, but I do some monitoring. So then he said, you know what? And he's like, you know, it would help me a lot. And then he emailed me the site monitoring report, and he said, fill out the stuff that I need to ask you here. And I was like, all right, done. Can I do the recommendation too? And we laughed, and he's like, sure. So then
I love
I
it.
I
That's
basically
awesome.
did the whole monitoring report for my own site. It was hilarious, man. And I gave it back to him. I'm sure he looked at it, but maybe not. He was stressed out of his mind, so maybe he just sent it as is.
But see, Dan, because you were in his shoes, you know how you can
Literally
empathize,
in his shoes,
right?
but I was in my shoes
Literally.
too. I was like, "Nah, we got
Yeah.
to get this study." Like
Right.
got to.
So I mean, now contrast that to somebody who's coming from academia for the
Oh
past
man,
8 years of their life, possibly more, right?
yeah.
And they've never really experienced that dynamic.
Hmm.
But I think, people with academic backgrounds, they're obviously, very willing to learn. Some of them are a little
A
bit
lot of them are
I mean, and then again, I was gonna say there's some that come in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulders, and
a
that
little
that's not,
elitist, a little
yep,
elitist.
little elitist, and
At my
that
site, we had 50 people do this task that two of you people are doing. Three of you people, and they still can't enroll the same. Like you know, we still out enroll them. A lot of them.
yeah.
No, this is good topics. Monica says we have two PharmD raiders. Chris, you're right. Psychometric radar. This is like one of the biggest kept secrets in this industry. You know how many psychiatric trial study sites there are in the U.S.? If you're a foreign grad, advanced degree holder, go to one of those sites. They need raters.
Neurology too.
Neurology and so
Yep.
anything CNS.
Parkinson's, yep,
Yeah,
anything CNS for
go to
sure.
all those places. Tell them you want to be a rater. They're gonna roll out the red carpet for you. Most of them. Don't go to the big AMC's academic. They don't care. Go to
Yeah,
the small places like Chris, the
especially
one Chris owns.
especially if your approach is I'd like to be a raider. They'll assume you know
Yeah,
what you're
imagine.
talking about. They'll assume you have some experience. So
I watched Three Lunatics at midnight one night, and I want to be a raider.
Exactly, exactly.
That's a good way to get the job,
sure.
I
guys.
mean,
This has been
Dan,
insane.
Chris,
Like
who
44
else?
people.
Yeah, who else comes on at this hour to do a PSA for the clinical research community? Just a pep talk, If you had a
So
rough day, if you had a rough day job searching today, throw it in the comments. Throw it in the comments,
so
How can we be of service to you?
I believe my text to you too when you suggested this was you are both nuts, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna verify.
I'm pretty sure you
Are
said
you still
that.
joining the 6 a.m. one in the morning?
You
Or
guys are nuts. Lol.
so are you still joining the 6 a.m., Chris? It's only in a few hours.
Hell no.
All
Me
right,
and
well,
Robert might do it, right? We're
If
going
yeah, oh
on.
yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm up, I certainly will, but I highly doubt I'll be up.
Listen, we got to do these things off on our own time, and yeah, Dan, we're gonna be there. We're gonna
Okay.
be
So
there.
what time do you guys get up? 5
Like
a.m.
right
Listen,
before, shortly before live.
Chris, don't you have you guys ever heard that song? Have you ever heard that song? I don't get tired, Dan. I know you have.
You'd have to sing it. I don't know it.
Well, I'm not definitely not gonna sing it, but I'm gonna sing it to you
Okay,
after this,
send it.
and that's gonna be our opening song for tomorrow.
So we're ignoring.
Sure.
We're just focusing on LinkedIn views, but we have Facebook world out there, and we have Twitter world out there. That Twitter rarely comments. They only like, what is it called when you just lurk? They're only lurkers. But Facebook, they occasionally comment, like Van Gogh. Cool profile pic too. How to start pharmacovigilance industry? Any recommendations for smaller CROs?
Yeah, so I mean, PVG, it's typically PharmDs are that's a great spot to be in. You typically need an advanced degree to be in PVG.
Hmm.
You're going to be doing a lot of SAE reconciliations. You could be potentially filling out SUSARs, med watches, narratives, going back and forth with the site, querying, looking for completeness on the SAE forms, determining whether they're reportable or not based on the investigator brochure and the safety monitoring plan. So, there's a lot of ways to get into it. I'm not sure unless you're an advanced degree holder with some type of an experience that you can just walk into the PVG industry itself. But I think there's a lot of tangential positions that can put you on the right pathway to becoming involved more heavily with PVG. One idea off the top of my head is, central monitoring. You're looking at risks that have to do with safety and efficacy. Those could be lab values, and that could be a good segue into PVG.
I like that. You guys are getting like at midnight, before you turn into a pumpkin, you get that advice here from Robert of what to do. And Astrat, if you want to come on, thank you so much. This is cool. Not to forget Facebook because they're watching too. We never check. I don't even know how to log into the Facebook.
Oh, so he has a follow-up question there, Dan. He says he means to
Start a
start a
job.
job.
Yeah, to get hired. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I covered that,
Hmm.
in my answer. But um, Van, I would be careful about smaller CROs. Not because they're, inferior or superior, just by virtue of they have less opportunity, especially in today's current job market. It's very difficult, and there's less positions available at those smaller CROs. So you might want to set your eyes on a mid-sized to larger organization, where there's a lot of people that can get you, assistance and help and collaboration, so that you can kind of be in an uncomfortable situation only to grow into a comfortable situation. So uncomfort leads to comfort, right?
Mm.
So
Uncomfort leads to comfort, which then you can't get too comfortable for too long because it
nope,
leads to your downfall. So you gotta constantly find other ways to get uncomfortable.
guys, do hard things. That's what I'm saying. Like I
Yeah.
literally have this. I have this thing here I sent to one of my colleagues the other day. Um, Let me see if I can pull it up here.
And Van Gogh gave more
Yes.
context. I'm a medical graduate. Thanks a lot, guys. Love watching. Thank you, Van. We appreciate it. And nice doggy.
Yeah, absolutely. So number one is quit procrastinating. Okay. These are the steps to designing the life that you want.
Hmm.
So prioritize your health, take control of your future,
Hmm.
craft a compelling vision, take violent action. Violent
Violent. I
action,
think Chris
right?
does that every conference call.
Be consistent and choose play, fun, and adventure.
Uh,
So in terms of consistency, just doing all that kind of stuff. So
Adventures
yeah,
crossing the street in Tucson late at night to get some tequila shots and then crossing back like without anyone noticing. We did
sneaking
that.
out
The
and
three of
sneaking
us
in.
did that. That was good times, guys. We had to
It
take a
was.
So
break.
true.
We had to take a break.
I mean,
Uh,
that venue was jammed. It was so
Dude, the
busy.
line. I saw the line when I was trying to park, and then by the time I didn't want to leave my truck there, it was such a small spot. So by the time I went to find a safe place to park, the line was gone. It took me 20 minutes to park that that thing.
That's why we,
I,
we did the Uber. We Ubered it. We were
yeah,
in no, yeah, there was no chance of operating a motor vehicle that evening before SOS.
It's a good
But
idea. Good idea.
yeah,
You decided to Uber. That's all I can
yes.
say.
yeah.
But that
Oh,
was good
thank
advice.
you very much, sir.
Thank you. And Robert, what you've just read, you basically lived by that, and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm not one of these, lip service providing folks who just say things to be heard because I like to hear myself talk. I say
part
what
of
I
the
mean and I
stuff
mean
You,
what I
you know
say.
anybody like that?
I think we both do.
I think we all do.
I think we're all thinking of the
Just
same
look,
thing.
click on your home feed and just start scrolling. It won't take long.
You,
Um,
you know what I've realized, Dan, not to hijack anything.
I was gonna say something good, but I forgot. So hold. Yeah, I'll come.
Okay,
It'll come back to me.
it'll come back, but like, honestly, and I don't want to bring Kellen as an example, right? And toot my horn here
Killen's
because
the man. Now I feel
yeah,
like I gotta do a call with him too.
you should. You really should. I mean, this is I mean, it takes courage to reach out,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
to just try to,
No, that's
initiate the
true. He reached out to
conversation.
you. I don't
Yeah.
think he reached out to me, so I think I'm
Um,
safe still.
you're safe. Yeah. So I think when you start to give more than you take,
Yeah,
I think like you really start to just have this different outlook, and that's really
that was
where
panel
I'm.
6. That was panel
Yeah,
6.
yeah, it
It
was.
it what I said was it makes no sense. You got to do things like that don't scale. it has to make no sense at first until it makes no sense not to do that thing. And the hard part's getting to that point, and it just
Yeah.
it flips. It's like an inflection point, and you'll know when it comes because you're like, damn, all that stuff is paying off now. You're not doing it initially for that, but that's the way the world works. I've noticed with my businesses, the less I actually care about money, the easier it comes. Like you still
Exactly.
care about goals, which will lead to money, but you don't actually do things for monetary purpose necessarily. You're not also being stupid, but you know what I mean? Like when you're too focused on monetary and financial gains, like once you guys get money in this industry, there's other problems too. The feelings, the emotions are the same. It's not like it's over once you get a job. That's when the problem's gonna start.
Yep.
So get used to
Absolutely.
being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
So you believe in karma, Robert?
Oh yeah. Oh Robert.
I
Robert,
I
I'm
know
do.
pretty
you
sure.
do. I know
Yeah, I
you
think,
do.
yeah, no, I do. I believe what comes around goes around. And, I think there's so many people out there, and not just in our industry, but, it's like, well, what's in it for me type of a mentality. And once that, is taken away, or once the service that's being provided to you, or the benefit that you're providing, or receiving, one viewer might be looking at this podcast and saying, well, Robert is always on Dan's podcast and he's doing this, that, and the other. And it's like, not really. I'm on here simply because I have a different perspective. Dan, Chris, and I have formed a
Robert's
friendship.
pumped. I wanted to go in the morning. He said, "Let's go now and
I'm
in
like,
the
let's
morning."
go, let's go.
I
And
was like, "Hey, who am I to argue with that? That's not a bad idea."
hey, admit though, you pushed back. You guys were
I
like,
did.
you're
I
like,
said no one's
nah,
gonna
no
watch, man,
one's
and we had
watched.
like 46 people on LinkedIn watching.
Yeah, exactly. So, because I'm with those people. I have people on my team. I have people that I talk to. Um, and they're worried. They're just up there. I can just picture them laying there looking at the ceiling, just not knowing where the
Certainly.
next dollar's coming from. So if the three of us can get on here and kind of help and let them know you're not alone. You're not
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
Like trust me, I'm with you, and I hear you and I see you. And if I could hire every single person, I would be the first to do it. The
Every
tide will
single good
turn.
person.
Good and honest, exactly.
Good.
Good and
That's
honest. You know,
yes, and maybe
Well,
not like a
um,
douche.
meritocracy still matters.
Yes, the
exactly,
red flags still matter too.
exactly.
Uh,
But I think what I wanted to say is that now, like for me personally, I feel like the more that I give to this industry, like you said, Dan, the more you care less about your businesses and you just do the right thing. You can never get in trouble for doing the right thing. The money kind of just comes by proxy as a result. And that's how I feel here when I give back to the community, and I'm able to help somebody think a different way or think again. And they're able to secure a job, or you get a message like, hey, that was life-saving advice.
life say that's big, man.
That to
Like
me,
that's
it's what
big.
that's what it's all about.
It
That's what it's
is,
all
but
about.
when because I felt that way too at SOS or like Edna, like coming in on cue almost, like this, like when
Yeah,
hired because of the book and the videos. Like it doesn't at first you're like you get used to it after a while, but when you see it in person, it's different, man, because that you see like this person's like for real in the industry and guess what? They're like they become allies, they become colleagues, if not allies, at least colleagues. And it's at the end of the day, what do we always say? It's a small industry that's big in as far as money and
yep,
GDP, but it's a small as far as the people because it's a lot of the people are recycled. Like,
true.
you may go somewhere else. I may go. So who knows what I'm gonna do,
Right.
Chris? Either like 10 years from now, we're all gonna be doing probably different things.
Yep,
All of us within the industry,
yep. It's
Well,
which is
amazing. Like,
crazy.
I was
Robert.
talking.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Robert.
No, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's like you said. If you help these people out, and it's like combining both of your thoughts. Um, Eventually, these people will be in the industry, and you never know when they can help you.
Right. I mean, I might be reporting to them one day. You never know.
Hmm.
You
Right.
know. or vice versa. You're right. I mean, it's a very symbiotic relationship that you start to build
But
with
it's
people.
it's cliche when you say
It is.
that's what matters. But it actually, like, the older I got, when I was younger, like in my 20s, 30s, I was like, yeah, if I make this content, people are gonna, help me out later. Now that I'm 40 something, it actually doesn't. I don't want anything really. Like, I'll
Right.
take it if it's like you want to give me a study shit, I'll take it. But it really is about like your greater purpose at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think like that keeps you going through those tough times. Like, hey, I don't feel like doing this. Well, there's people out there that are benefiting. So it's like it becomes a responsibility. I know it sounds cliche. I used to think if I heard this 10 years ago, I'd be like, that's bullshit.
I would be like, these
Yeah.
three guys, please. They're just talking out of they're tired. Go to
It's
bed.
so true. It's so true,
It
though, at
is
least
true
for
though.
me. And I think for both of you guys, like,
Yeah.
it's bigger than us and anything else. Like, and we don't really need anything back. And we already learned the law of reciprocity that it's going to favor you in the long run. So like the micro stuff doesn't matter. It's we know the universe will take care of us. If you do the right thing, if you start doing the wrong thing, the universe, what is that saying? Fuck around and find out.
Boom.
I believe in that for sure. And there's a lot
All
of
day.
people in this industry that are finding out.
Yep.
We'll leave it at that. A lot of industries. I give this one a hard time because that's all I know. I think other industries are actually worse. I think this one's actually relatively decent, people wise. What else? You guys gonna join at 7
Yeah. No, we're
Arizona time,
I'm gonna
6
be here.
California.
I'm gonna be there, and I hope everybody who's watching and not commenting will be up and join us as well.
I'll be 2
Um,
cold brews in by then. So
Really?
I'll
I've
be
already, I've
yeah.
already got the.
You got to get up at like, well, no, that's 6 your time. I was gonna say 5, but you're up
Yeah,
at
good.
6, right?
If I'm up an hour before I have to be on a Zoom, it's good to wake
Okay.
up, check
That's how
emails,
I feel, and I ain't getting
use
up
the
at 5.
bathrooms. You gotta use the bathroom.
Chris is like, it's just not happening. Not happening. Not happening today.
But
Yep.
thank you guys. This was good, man.
No, it's fun. Little late night impromptu. Maybe we'll make this a new thing.
So it'll be hard to
Hopefully.
top this in the morning, but the morning crowd hits different too.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot. It does. It does. I mean, I'm sure
Chris, you
everybody's.
gotta catch in on that morning crowd. Or,
I'll tell you what, if I'm up, I'll be on.
okay.
Hey, Chris, even if you show up 30 minutes late, just pop on.
Yeah, who cares? We both have a hard stop
So
in the hour.
literally, I don't set my alarm, and every day I wake up about 10 before 7.
Okay, so you'll definitely won't make it tomorrow, so no
10
problem.
before 7. Yeah, you won't make it. Yeah, you'll make the tail end of it, but it's okay. We'll be on again. But thank you guys. This is like we'll be on many more times too. So this is a good trio to have. I feel like there's good chemistry and conversations on these ones, and we'll figure out what we're going to discuss in the morning. There's probably more questions that we'll get to, and it'll be good.
I'm
Yeah.
with Robert. We should do these at night. If it seemed like a lot of people are on.
Yeah, but now we got to prove why do they do clinical trials? Is it just once placebo response because we never do it late,
Well,
or is it like is there a
Yeah.
demand for this?
So
I mean,
we gotta do
Dan,
another.
Dan, look at the retention over the past hour at this time. I mean, you thought
It's all the
nobody.
insomniacs. That's why they can't sleep. Go to sleep, people.
Yo, are you guys in hotels? Do you have monitoring visits tomorrow? Do you got audits to prepare for? I mean, I would love to know, who our audience is right now. But anyways,
Benadryl works for me, by the way.
Well, we know Monica's driving back from the site. We know that one. So
that's true. That's true.
shout out
But
to her.
there's a whole bunch of other people out there
Mhm.
that. But yeah. Look, I said to you, Dan, I'm like, this is gonna be a hit. I'm telling you,
Okay,
people are
I'm
up right
down.
now. And was I mean, guys, come on.
You were spot on, Robert. Like
Our numbers were, I mean,
I thought it was gonna be a dud. Like, hey, we're just gonna mess around, but this was actually like a legit episode.
Is this
Yeah.
better than it is usually in the morning?
Oh, I haven't seen 40 plus in the morning in a minute, Dan. Have you?
We can hit 40. Yeah, I mean, it depends
know.
on the topic, but It's
I'm just
above
saying.
average. This is above average for
So you
sure.
do this-
Any time of the day.
So you do this
Yeah.
3 or 4 times more, and then
Right.
you'll
We'll figure it
know.
out.
We'll
Yeah.
randomize it. We need an IRT
There you
to
go.
randomize, and then we gotta have a
We have to-
database to
Well,
track the
we need.
records.
I think the most important thing we need is a SAP.
We need a SAP before
To
we do
understand
it.
what our
Yeah,
p-value is, we got to know if there's statistical significance in running these at this hour.
that's
Is
right.
there any
And
pedicures involved?
Then we
well,
gotta do our
listen, you know,
SOP. Like, what's your process of turning on your camera? Chris, your camera was a little like wonky. Like, is it calibrated? We don't know.
Yeah.
We got to get all these things
Been
set up before.
at least a couple years.
and I believe it was Chris's fault for the music not being able to. It wouldn't stop. It
Turn
kept
off. Oh
playing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, it's my fault.
Chris. I don't know, man. The music
what-
wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it
Dan
was
said it was,
explicit too because it's late night. It's explicit. It's okay.
It's allowed.
Yeah,
allowed,
it's LinkedIn
yeah.
After Dark. But
LinkedIn
maybe that's
After
the new
Dark.
name for it. LinkedIn After Dark. But
You know,
with a little
Guru-
Facebook
how
and
about,
Twitter.
How about Guru Nation After Dark?
Guru Nation After Dark. Wow. Subscribe to the OnlyFans and you get more.
We'll get a Twitch going. We'll
get a
monetize
Twitch, yeah.
all over this stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Very
No,
nice.
good
That's
stuff,
funny.
guys.
That's funny.
That's cool. Yeah, we gotta try it again late night. I
Yeah, we'll
agree.
try it again. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, give me some forewarning next time so I can have a drink or two first.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we had no forewarning either. It was just
Yeah.
on the
it
spot,
was Robert, let's do it now.
I was like, let's
Debbie-
go.
Devi, where are you watching from? Let's go, man. The podcast. This is gonna go on the podcast too later. This will make the podcast. This is podcast quality. Not every live is podcast quality. This one is. Thank you, Debbie.
Okay.
All right. That's good,
All
guys.
right, gentlemen. Well,
I'm
listen,
gonna take a
thank you.
shower
Yeah.
and go to sleep. Maybe read some Hyperion a little and then go to sleep.
It's almost 11 o'clock your time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just need 6. I need a good 6.
Yeah, good. I need a good 5. I'm an operational. I'm good with 5. 5
No,
or
no,
less.
I'm cranky sub 6.
So
Are ya?
you,
Okay.
you know if you don't get 7, you're like statistically much higher to have a heart attack.
Yeah, but we're
Oh,
doing studies for
believe
that
me.
right now, so we'll be.
I'm
by
going to be
that
driving myself up to Yuma Clinical Trials here to enroll in one of those studies. And not to mention, Chris, if I feel it. I know I'm going to have a heart attack.
Great.
So I mean, I feel it coming on. But Dan's got me on this.
there you
You know?
go.
Yeah, I take
So-
it well too.
I mean, I'm trying to
Is
take
that
the
working for
preventative.
you? Do you feel like it's doing
yeah,
something?
yeah. No, but I try to get more sleep when I can, obviously. But
Yeah.
to everybody, wish you a great night. And look, Debbie's tuning in from Texas, man. It's
Texas.
11:40.
Edna, thank you so much for the
yeah.
kind words. You got to be at work at 7.
Oh,
Wow.
ouch.
Ouch is right.
Yeah.
I just got to be in front of this camera by 7, but
Right.
I'm good. Quick question. Is quality assurance a good career in clinical research? Quick answer, yes.
Phenomenal.
We actually have
Very,
2
very
of our CRA Academy graduates, 2 of our best ones right now, doing QA work. I put 1 on each study for our site to be an additional layer of like QA eyeballs for 2 studies right now. And if there's a good third one that Casey recommends, we have another study for that one. So far, it's 2.
Yep, getting that audit experience, that QA
Yeah,
experience, it's a very, very good pathway.
I think so.
Indeed.
There's a lot. You have to see how Alcoac integrates with GCP, with the protocol, with everything that the source documentation. There's always little details that no matter how good your site is, you're not compliant on some aspect. If you think you are, talk to Darshan. You haven't talked to Darshan enough. He'll tell you that you're not. Darshan will scare the shit out of you. And it'll make you want to improve your
I get anxiety just watching the pods. Forget about being on the pods. I'm
yeah,
like,
each
oh
time
my
I
God.
interviewed Darshan, he's like, "Did you know about the 7 this and that from the
Yeah.
DOJ?"
And this is the criminal justice page here, okay?
Yeah, he will reference like the DOJ and like these 7 bullet points. He's like, "Do you do these things, Dan? Let's go through
Like,
them." Well, you may not do it.
Nope.
Do you have to be paranoid to be an attorney?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you're hired for. Worst case scenarios is what they think about.
The best attorneys are the most paranoid ones. So.
Corporate compliance is crazy, but I don't know if the right word is paranoid. I would say informed is maybe a better choice of words there.
I don't know,
You
man.
know?
Come on. They're always
Rod
pointing out
Raphael
things
says
that are like
anxiety
one in a
watch.
bazillion that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Rod Raphael's awake in Indianapolis at 11.
Raphael, the legend.
It's
The
midnight over there,
legend.
man. Go to sleep, Rod. No,
Rod
Rod
and
and
I.
his wife get down. They were
Yeah,
partying.
listen. I had a Zoom call with Rod and his wife, and man, were they fired up. I was giving them some of my own 2 cents opinion on on a response that somebody provided them, and man, let me tell you about two sharp people. Rod and his wife are and Rod's wife does not play. Let
No,
me
she
tell
don't
you,
play.
she does not play around.
And she gets down on the dance floor too. We saw her at the SOS after party, man.
Facts.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Shout out to them.
But
But yes,
I'm glad to
anxiety.
see that Rod is agreeing with me that he gets 100% anxiety watching him. I do too, Rod.
Oh, from Darshan,
Yeah,
especially
from
that last
Darshan.
one we
Yeah.
did.
That last
Yeah.
one I had to I caught it for about 7 minutes and I'm like, all right, I need to go
You need more
get
cookie 10 from that after watching.
seriously up the dose a little bit, maybe take a Valium or some diazepam, same thing, but maybe Darshan can facilitate that for us, like, hey, disclaimer, take a Valium before you watch this podcast.
Well, he's also a pharmacist, so he can
Exactly.
help you with that too. Although at the end he'll say everything's not legal or medical
Right.
advice.
Exactly.
But you already shit your pants by then, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
I've already got 3 doctor's appointments before the podcast is over. I'm going to see the cardiologist, the GI doc, and my PCP.
Man.
I got
Got
some
the
problems.
psychiatrist.
Oh,
So
that too. Yeah, I
I
got
gotta
to
put
in there.
a shameless request. If both of you guys know, or if anyone watching know, I have a new cardiologist and a new pulmonologist. I need studies for both. That's it. That's my shameless ask. What do you guys have a shameless
shout out.
ask as we leave? What's your shameless ask, Robert?
My shameless ask would be any small biotechs out there that find themselves in some precarious situations as it pertains to vendors or any other partners you may have within the clinical trial outsourcing, hit me up. I'd love to talk to you.
Okay,
That's
I
my
know.
shameless
I'll
plug.
know. I think I know a person for you. Um, I'll connect you with two.
Thank you.
That's a good
Thank
one.
you. Thank you.
Chris, shameless ask. You never ask for things, so
I
come
actually
on,
have
man.
one tonight. So this one you can relate to. This is really only something Dan will understand. But this lady's been trying this CRA, and they're confusing the abbreviations. They're interchanging IMV and SIV. But anyhow, they need to perform an IMV, and they want to meet with the PI, and the PI is just not responding. So they're like in desperation saying, we got to meet with your PI. This is the PI that Dan and I have. So here's my shameless ask. Anybody out there in the San Bernardino area that would like to be a PI, that's a doctor, hit up Dan. He'll forward your information to me.
San Bernardino, PIs. MD or DO, right, Chris?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, well.
Anywhere in the Inland Empire, but the site is in San Bernardino. Actually, anywhere in SoCal.
I don't know about any. Well, we can find a home for them somewhere. Certainly.
Yeah. Okay.
Wouldn't be for us.
Okay. Cool. We'll end it on that to let people. Devi, how
We'll
to
get your
transition
question in the
slowly to
morning,
regulatory affairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that in the morning because we got a bunch of questions. We'll get a grab bag of questions. My YouTube comments, I haven't touched them in a while, so we'll do that in the morning too. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Have a
We'll
good
talk
one.
to everyone
Hope
later.
you get some sleep. You're going to be up early.
Nighty night.